Hello, and welcome back to Weekly Gaming News Show's 10 to 10. This is episode 119 for the week ending Saturday, September 23rd, 2018. Sony is set to release a PlayStation 1 Classic, following in the steps of Nintendo and their classic consoles. The PlayStation 1 Classic is roughly half of the size of the original PlayStation 1 and will come preloaded with 20 classic games. 5 of the games that have been announced include Jumpin' Flash, Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, Wild Arms, and the much-lauded Final Fantasy VII. The classic console has an expected release date of December 3rd and will cost $99.99 US. Also included in the box will be 2 original-styled PlayStation controllers, an HDMI, and USB cable. Valve and Ubisoft have been fined for violating French consumer laws. The fine comes after both companies failed to implement refund policies that would be acceptable by the French authorities. The violations led to fines of 147,000 euros for Valve and 180,000 euros for Ubisoft. The law in question stipulates that consumers should have 14 days to request a refund. Uplay has no return policy at all, whilst Valve offers a refund, but only if the game has been played for 2 hours or less, which seemingly runs afoul of this law. The Switch Online emulator has been hacked on the day Nintendo Online officially goes live. Hours after the service went online, video surfaced showing ROM swaps. Hackers found that the online emulation is the same as or extremely similar to the system used for the classic mini consoles, meaning hackers have had over a year or so to work on the software. The modern community noted that the ease of ROM swapping is a result of Nintendo wanting it to be easy for them to move titles in and out, and they do not believe this has any effect on the security of the console or Nintendo Online service. THQ acquires more IPs, snapping up Alone in the Dark and Act of War. THQ Nordic has been on a spending spree, adding these 2 IPs to the recently acquired Kingdoms of Amalur and Timesplitters. Alone in the Dark, a classic survival horror game, is the most recognizable of the 2, with the last standard game having been released in 2008. Act of War is a real-time strategy game published by Atari back in 2005, with the story written by retired U.S. Air Force captain and best-selling author Dale Brown. 15 European countries and Washington State come together to tackle loot boxes. The focus appears to be third-party websites that host illegal gambling associated with popular video games. Think CSGO skin lotteries. Additionally, they will all take a look at loot boxes in general and whether they run afoul of their local gambling laws. A list of the countries involved includes the United Kingdom, Spain, Ireland, Portugal, France, Norway, and the United States, by the way of the state of Washington, not Washington, D.C. PlayStation Vita production to be halted in 2019, as announced by Sony Interactive Entertainment Senior Vice President Hiroyuki Oda. He also noted that there was no replacement in the works or plan. No word on the Vita's fate in the rest of the world, but indie production in Japan, its most loyal market, does not bode well. PlayStation Now is to start offering downloads for some PS2 and PlayStation 4 games included with the service. Starting this week, PlayStation Now subscribers will be able to download most PlayStation 4 titles and remastered versions of PlayStation 2 titles. A specific list has not been noted, but the downloaded titles will allow users to use DLC and transfer saves from the cloud to their system. Users will need to connect their consoles to the internet every few days to verify their subscription. This feature, as of now, is only available for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro consoles. Blizzard has banned third-party Overwatch apps players have been using to track their gameplay. In a statement, Blizzard stated they had concluded an investigation into third-party apps being used while playing and pointed out that those types of apps go against their terms of service. In addition, Blizzard started emailing users of 2 such apps, Visor and Pursuit, advising that continued use could result in an account ban. This did not go over well with the community, as one of the apps, Pursuit, had partnerships with esports teams, including one that competed in the Overwatch League this past season. Capcom Vancouver has been shuttered. The development team behind the Dead Rising series and Puzzle Fighter on mobile has been closed. Capcom announced that they would terminate all projects at the Capcom Vancouver studios, noting that all future projects will be developed out of their expanded Capcom Japan studios. Capcom expects to write off or lose $40 million in the closing of the studio. Telltale Games lays off most of their staff, retaining only 25 employees to fulfill obligations. The studio had been in trouble for some time with stories of mismanagement and little innovation. The second episode of the award-winning Walking Dead series is still coming, but previously announced second season of A Wolf Amongst Us and a new game based off of Netflix's hit show Stranger Things are up in the air. That will do it for this week's episode of our weekly gaming news shows 10 and 10. Before I go, I would like to mention our sponsor, New Challenger. If you enjoy fighting games, but don't enjoy getting pummeled, New Challenger is the place for you. Supporting the most popular games in the fight game community with tournaments, replay critiques, group training, and more, the New Challengers will have you doing the pummeling in no time. Head to www.newchallenger.gg now to learn, fight, train. And don't forget, if you'd like to hear more on these stories and others, join Chanel and me for a weekly gaming news show, live streamed on Facebook and Twitch, Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.